Hello, welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 12, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. So today's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, January 22nd, 2021. And the front page article, there's a beautiful big colored picture entitled, "Who Let the Sun Dogs Out?" The sun dogs were out in full force in the morning on Tuesday, January 18th. This phenomenon is usually seen on a chilly day, as the lights on either side of the sun are caused by refraction of sunlight on ice crystals in the air. Manitoba government to loosen COVID-19 restrictions. On Tuesday, January 19th, the province announced tentative plans to ease some of the Code Red restrictions. The release stated that the government received input from tens of thousands of Manitobans through the Engage Manitoba survey, asking what services were most important to individuals. Manitobans deserve to be proud. It is because of their willingness and dedication to follow the public health orders to protect their loved ones and their community that we've been able to bend our COVID curve down and keep it down, said Pallister. While there is much reason for optimism with that progress, we must not let our guard down, which is why we are taking a cautious approach to safely restoring our services and activities in Manitoba. The small changes proposed by the government are as follows. Household limits. Current orders restrict visitors to private residences with specific exceptions that enable trades and support people, as well as limited visitors for people who live alone. The orders could be expanded to increase personal connections and well-being of Manitobans by allowing the following: 2 additional people, family or friends, to visit a household. It was elaborated in the question period of Tuesday's announcement that 2 additional people means 2 visitors at a time. They do not have to be designated as the same 2 every time. Also, outdoor visits of up to 5 people plus members of a household on outdoor private property. And also funerals to have up to 10 people in addition to the officiant. And for retail operations, current orders allow retail establishments to open for in-person sales, provided they only sell essential or seasonal products and maintain reduced occupancy of 25% with a maximum of 250 people. The orders could be expanded to allow the following: all stores to open for the sale of all products, and current requirements to maintain physical distancing and occupancy limits would remain in place and be enforced. Also, the elimination of the essential items list. Next is health services and hair salons/barbershops. Non-regulated health services, hair salons, and barbershops are currently closed. The orders could be expanded to allow the following: non-regulated health services such as podiatrists and reflexologists to reopen with adequate physical distancing and requirements to collect information for contact tracing purposes. And the following: barbershops and hairstylists to reopen at 25% capacity with adequate physical distancing, and requirements to collect information for contact tracing purposes. Friesen noted during the announcement that because of high case counts in Northern and First Nations communities, the easing of restrictions would likely exclude the Northern Health Region at this time. Many of the proposed changes coincide with what Manitobans who took the latest Engage MB survey indicated as important to them. According to the survey, over 70% of Manitobans listed the ability to shop without limitations and the ability to see a hairstylist or health professional as somewhat or very important. 77% of surveyed listed the ability to gather with people outside their household as somewhat or very important. The ability to have more people attend a funeral was important to 65% of those surveyed. Restriction changes were not confirmed before the Banner and Press publication deadline, as the province was looking for feedback on the proposed changes through an updated survey on Engage MB before announcing anything for sure. Updated information on what was officially changed will be published on our website, mywestman.ca. And for COVID-19 updates, as far as fines go, from January 10th to the 17th. The latest enforcement efforts related to the province's COVID-19 restrictions have been released. From January 11th to the 17th, a total of 183 warnings and 77 tickets were issued. 249 warnings and 48 tickets were last week. This week's numbers include 66 $1,296 tickets to individuals for various offenses, 9 tickets to individuals for failure to wear a mask in indoor public places, and one $5,000 ticket to a business. Officials advised that 45 of the 66 individual tickets issued last week were related to gatherings in private residences or outdoors. Of those 45, 9 tickets were issued in relation to a protest rally at Bell MTS Place before the January 14th Winnipeg Jets game. Tickets were also issued for a rally in Steinbach on Saturday, and the investigation is ongoing. For active COVID-19 case counts, over the course of a recent 7-day period from Wednesday, January 13th to Tuesday, January 13th, which doesn't make sense, must mean there were 80 new COVID-19 cases reported within the Prairie Mountain Health Region. That's a notable drop from the 154 cases reported last week. The total current cases in Prairie Mountain since March are 1,821. 1,584 recovered and 193 currently active. There have been 44 deaths in the region. Brandon has the most active cases in the region with 59, while White Mud, which encompasses Neepawa and surrounding communities, has 1 active count, 3 fewer than were reported for the region last week. Provincially, the North Region currently has the most active cases with 1,459, while Winnipeg current cases are 906. So, the next page, we have a couple of pictures. History with the Beautiful Plains Museum regarding hockey. Pictured is the Ranger hockey team of 1953. See any familiar faces? From left to right are Dale Giles, Mel McGregor, Tom Evans, Harvey Jury, Ron Docking, Francis Middleton, Merv Pilkey, and Mel Wolko. And here's a picture of the room I'm in right now. NACTV to spiff up recording studio. Renovation to the studio at NACTV in Neepawa has begun. Upgrades to the space will include new carpeting and the redecoration of the walls, as well A new editing computer will be purchased for the editor's suite. Nice. Okay, Homebodies by Rita Friesen. What do you want to be when you grow up? How many times have we been asked that question, and not only back when we were children? And how many times have we asked that question? Truthfully, I don't like being asked that, nor asking. There was a time when there were not that many career possibilities for young women, especially rural ones. We would be a teacher, a nurse, a secretary, or a Mary. Usually a classmate or neighbor. It was back in the early 60s when my formal schooling ended, and I have not kept in touch with all that many of my classmates. Many went into education, both men and women, and several women entered the field of nursing. One I discovered became an airline stewardess, and one male classmate went on to become an airspace controller. What fostered those dreams for my very rural classmates? Where did that idea find strength and courage to grow? I am thankful that today there is many fewer limits on the career choices for all people. With all the choices available, another challenge appears. What do I want to be when I grow up? I can be anything. That is what we tell children. And how do I know if I will like that field when I have completed an arduous and expensive journey? From too few options to too many in 60 years. When folks are kind enough to inquire where I grew up, I am careful to state that my early years were in the Carmen area, a small hamlet known to few as Graysville. I do not to assume that I have grown up. Growing old, yes, but growing up assumes wisdom, maturity, and solidness. The other day, as the soup in my bowl dipped below the easy spooning line, I lifted the bowl and drank it deeply. My partner raised his eyebrows. I simply said that to remain young at heart and joyous, we should take moments to be childlike. The reply, it seems to be working. Yes, I want to continue to embrace each day, to savor the moment, to breathe and be. What do you want to be when you grow up? One of my granddaughters printed her answer. Why I want to be a babysitter. This is why. I will tell you. I am just writing down to myself why I want to be a babysitter. A lot of people say, oh, those people just want money. Hey, that's one reason, but not all. Number two, so I can teach kids things like read and learn colors and numbers. I know that's what teachers do, but I was thinking that we teach people things every day, so why can't I just teach more so they're more intelligent? Number three, so that the parents can get away and go hang, like we know it's not easy. Number four, so that I can have fun too. That's why I want to be a babysitter. Now, the spelling and punctuation isn't all there, but the passion is. Whatever we find to do, may we do it with that same passion. Contented, joyful, and useful. That's what I want to be when I grow up. Helen Drysdale, Out of Helen's Kitchen. This one, this week's is called Hockey. One of Canada's claims to fame is the sport of hockey, and it is embedded in the country's culture. Who doesn't remember Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night? Other countries claim to have inspired the game. The Scots with shinty, the Irish with hurling, and the English with field hockey. In the early 1800s, Nova Scotia's King College School adapted the game of field hurley and played it on the ice. The new game's rules were developed in 1875 by a Canadian, James Creighton. The first game played under these rules was between two teams of McGill University students. Canadian rules would eventually dominate the international world of ice hockey. Believed to come to Manitoba in the 1880s, we know that in 1890 to 91, the Victoria and Winnipeg hockey clubs were formed in Winnipeg. The spectators relished the fast-moving pace of the game, and by 1898 to 99, there were over 100 teams in Winnipeg. As the sport took off, Sir Lord Stanley, the Canadian Governor General of Canada, introduced the Stanley Cup in 1893. This 3-foot-high silver cup is perhaps the most famous sports trophy in the world. It was not awarded in 1919 because of the Spanish flu, and in 2005 because of the lockout by the owners. By 1920, hockey in Canada had become the national game. Hockey was often played on the nearest frozen lake, river, or prairie slough, sometimes with a puck from a frozen horse turd, and played until your toes froze. In the cities, outdoor and indoor rinks were quickly built to accommodate the growing number of hockey players. In 1920, the first World Hockey Championships were held during the Olympics in Antwerp, Belgium. From Winnipeg's West End came a group of young men entirely made up of Icelandic descent and whose team members had been barred from playing on other teams because of their ethnicity. The falcons, so named after Iceland's national bird, had the honor of representing Canada in the Olympic hockey competition. This group of Canadian Vikings outscored their opponents in 3 games by a combined total score of 29-1. What a welcome home they received in Winnipeg, with a parade, a banquet, and gifts of gold watches. 2 years later, future Prime Minister of Canada, Lester B. Pearson, played with Britain's Oxford's hockey team in the Olympics in 1922. By this time, cities like Brandon and Portage la Prairie had teams in city leagues as well as senior, intermediate, and junior clubs. Smaller towns such as Neepawa, Arden, Elkhorn, Virden, Holland, and Dauphin had formed clubs with 1 or more teams. In those days, the rinks were packed with people cheering for their team. For out-of-town games, players and fans boarded special trains that carried them to the towns. In 1917, the National Hockey League, called the NHL, was founded in Montreal. It was not long before cricket pads to protect their knees and shins were put into use. The face mask did not appear during a regulation game until 1959, and with great apprehension from the coach. Goaltender Jacques Plante of the Montreal Canadiens stopped the puck with his face. It required 7 stitches, and he had to go back out to play. He refused to play without his mask that he used during practice. By that time, he had received over 200 stitches, broken his jaw, shattered his cheekbones, and his nose had been broken 4 times. It was a slow start to accept the face mask, but in time it would become part of a hockey player's equipment. There have been many NHL careers born in small towns. 203 NHL players came from Manitoba. Bobby Clark of Flin Flon is known as the best hockey player to come from Manitoba. Clark had 1,210 points in 1,144 NHL games and captained the Philadelphia Flyers to back-to-back Stanley Cups in 1974 and 75. Neepawa produced 5 players for the NHL: Bill Mickelson, Mark Colasar, Shane Knighty, Tristan Grant, and Sean Byram. I remember taking the kids to the rink to skate and the rink kitchen humming with activity. The rotating staff of volunteers cooking up rink burgers, dishing out chili or hamburger soup, and serving chocolate puff wheat cake. Yummy happiness. And she goes on to have a recipe called rink chili. Economic outlook, still positive for Neepawa, by Owen Devereaux. It's fair to say that COVID-19 threw a figurative curveball into the economic development plans of many communities across Canada in 2020, and Neepawa was no exception. Marilyn Crew, the Economic Development Officer for the town of Neepawa, recently provided council with a year-end report. After the presentation was concluded, she spoke with the Banner and Press to further elaborate on the year that was and the future outlook for the community. Crew noted that the last 12 months have been stressful for many local businesses, but that many have done what they can to adapt to the circumstances surrounding them. She said it was a bit stressful for business, certainly throughout 2020. The early predictions for up to 35% closure rate for small businesses because of the pandemic could have put small communities like Neepawa in a serious predicament. However, I would say that Neepawa businesses fared fairly well and were very resilient. We cannot turn a blind eye to the stresses that they have been dealt with, especially over the course of this recent Code Red restriction period. It's been a difficult time for them. But I believe that Neepawa businesses have been very diligent in finding ways to make themselves successful in spite of the restrictions. In terms of the overall business outlook for the town in 2020, Cruz said that many commercial and industrial investment attractions were greatly impacted by COVID-19. She was optimistic, however, that there could be a shift back to a more positive and progressive mindset later on in 2021. I would say with the rolling out of the vaccines and what that brings to us as a society, then there are opportunities to emerge in the second half of 2021, Cruz said. Other notable comments from Cruz's verbal presentation to council indicated the following. There has been a lot of interest in the housing development in Neepawa in the past year, with the developers asking about the supply and demand issues in the community. Maximizing those opportunities will be a challenge until Neepawa has more accessible and available housing options. Also, completion of the High Life Back 40 was a positive for Neepawa in 2020 and has great potential as a tourism draw. Also, the storefront improvement incentive program was extremely popular, with many downtown businesses participating. Some projects went uncompleted, but have been shifted to 2021. Also, What's the Big Idea 2020 was canceled, but plans are in development at this time for it to take place in October 2021, with or without Minnedosa participation. Minnedosa may not be able to take part this year due to the community not having an economic development officer at this point in time. And lastly, more Neepawa tourism signage for local attractions is currently being pursued. The hope is to have more signage up around the community in the spring. And the next article is entitled Edrin's Church Constructs New Gymnasium by Owen Devereaux. The construction of a new gymnasium in Edrin's is nearly complete. The facility, which has been built adjacent to the Edrin's Church, will have 4,500 square feet available for a variety of activities and an additional 600 square feet for storage and a mechanical room. The total estimated cost for the project is just under $375,000, with many church members either contributing financially towards the project or donating their skills in the construction process on a volunteer basis. Nathan Koosley, a member of the Edrin's Church, recently noted to the Banner and Press that the gym project has been quite a few years in the making. In late 2017, our church and school decided to tear down an old Quonset used by the school for indoor sports. It was in such terrible shape that we knew it had to go. After demolition was complete, we were left with a relatively small concrete slab and a question. Do we build on this, or do we start completely new from the ground up? Over the winter, we decided as a church that we needed a new building. And with that, the decision was made to forge ahead. The hope was to have a facility that would primarily be used as a full-size gymnasium, but could also be multi-purpose. This space should be able to serve that purpose, as it has been used as a regulation-size basketball court with 2 full-sized glass backboards, a volleyball court, or 3 badminton courts. Koosley also indicated that the congregation is optimistic that it may be able to expand upon the building in the future, eventually adding a kitchen, bathrooms, and other spaces. Ground was broken on the gymnasium back in October of 2018, with work slowly but consistently making progress through to 2020. While many construction projects dealt with scheduling complications from COVID-19, Koosley noted that has not been extremely challenging as far as their actual site work was concerned. The large size of the building allowed for the contractors to have ample space to work in, and our unrushed schedule allowed different companies to be there by themselves so as not to interfere with one another. The true challenge of our situation was based on the fact that we as a school were more focused on maintaining learning, which was altered into a correspondence style of learning from home. As well, changing our church services to virtual with podcasts and live streaming, something that had previously not been a priority. Once those required changes were looked after, the focus once again shifted into the project. Koosley stated that when provincial restrictions are rescinded, the church will be able to use the large space for events, such as sports and in-person services, while abiding by capacity restrictions. The long-term hope of the Edrins Church is that this facility will be something that the whole community will be able to make use of. Possible negative impact to ag sector. By Casper Werhan. An announcement impacting the ag industry came down on January 6th. Blaine Peterson, Manitoba's Agriculture and Resource Development Minister, stated that new service delivery options are being made available for rural clients. Specifically, it is planned that a variety of services will be provided online, by telephone, or in person at ag service centers throughout the province. The provincial government expects this change to offer producers a convenient and client-focused means to access programs and services. Effective April 1st, this will be accomplished through the partnership of Manitoba Agriculture and Resources Development, or MBARD, and the Manitoba Agricultural Services Corporation, MASC. This partnership is meant to provide a one-stop shop for Manitoba farmers and businesses seeking services from those organizations. The announcement also noted that 9 MBARD offices will no longer be open to the public, and 21 MASC offices will be closing. This decision is one that Carson Callum, General Manager at Manitoba Beef Producers, says is unfortunate. He said the producers valued those face-to-face meetings and enjoyed developing relationships with the staff, though we hear that foot traffic had been declining. As an organization, we weren't notified in advance or consulted on these changes. These staff and offices are an important part of the agricultural industry, and the closures could have a negative impact in the rural sector. With a heavy focus on online service methods such as online chat programs, there's one key factor that's missing in the equation. The government is leaning more towards digital means, but we still need a strong rural internet and phone connection to support this method, Callum explained. That's a piece of the puzzle that has yet to be tackled. He also added, I hope this method becomes efficient if producers are able to get used to the adjustment, and that it can evolve to provide the same level of service they are used to. It is reported that many jobs will be maintained. In a report published by Pembina Valley Online, Minister Peterson asserted that staffing will not be reduced and that a move is being made to hire more people. We believe it is essential that producers continue to have access to the types of technical expertise and other supports currently offered by the departmental staff. The MBARD offices affected by the January 6th announcement are located in Carberry, Carman, Melita, Minnedosa, Neepawa, Portage la Prairie, Roblin, and Verdun. MASC offices affected include several locations in the banner and press coverage area and are as follows: Altona, Ashern, Birtle, Deloraine, Fisher Branch, Gladstone, Glenborough, Grandview, Hamiota, Lundar, Morris, Pilot Mound, Russell, Shoal Lake, Somerset, Souris, St. Pierre-Joli, St. Rose-de-Lac, Toulon, Vida, and Wascata. Due to COVID-19, the MASC offices have not been open to the public for in-person meetings since last year. This article is titled, "A Kick in the Knackers. 3 local hairstylists share their code red stories." This is a picture of Angie Mowbray standing inside her empty hair salon called Angie's Cutting Edge in Neepawa. Salons like Mowbray's have been closed since the province-wide code red began in November of 2020. And this picture is Katie Hunter, as she tends to a client's hair in Minnedosa, by Casper Werehon. Manitoba's code red was extended once again on January the 8th. Initially announced on November the 12th, the current COVID-19 health orders are now slated until at least January 22nd. A spike in COVID cases linked to individuals ignoring public health orders to gather over the holidays contributed to the province's decision. With this extension, the restrictions are close to entering a 3rd month, something that is causing stress and frustration in the local hairstyling industry. I respect the rules, but I also expect the politicians to follow the rules they set, said Katie Hunter, owner of KS Hunter's Barbershop, in reference to the government officials who also ignored the health code over the holidays. The Minnedosa stylist added, "All my grandparents are in Wales, and I have other family in France, and it's extremely tough over there. I'm glad we're not in that state, and I'm willing to chug along and do what I'm asked to do, but it's definitely extremely discouraging to see all those politicians that went traveling. I had to cancel my wedding this year. Everybody has made really big sacrifices. I know people who haven't been able to be with their loved ones while they die. I don't know if I'm ever going to see my grandparents again, and it's just a real kick in the knackers when the politicians decided they can just travel." While Hunter has been able to stay afloat with the help of financial aid such as Canada Recovery Benefit and the Bridge Grant, in addition to having a gracious landlord, she is concerned for her fellow business owners. In particular, she is concerned what may happen to other small businesses if they can't open soon. Adding to this concern is the time given to find out whether or not they can open. I do wish that we had a better form of communication with the government, because it's made public the second anything is known, and it's not that I think the public doesn't deserve to know. I just want a professional yes or no answer, Hunter expressed. For the 22nd, there's a good chance they already know what they're going to do, but they're not going to tell us until the very last minute, and it sucks being on the edge of your seat because it takes time to prepare. A similar sentiment was shared by Ashley Hutton, manager at Serenity Hair and Body Studio in Neepawa, which expands on Hunter's comment. She said that the government only gives us 2 days notice before we can open, not understanding that we now have hundreds of clients to rebook in, orders to place and things to prepare, Hutton explained, noting that client appointments have been pushed back repeatedly. So it's just kind of letting one day at a time go, watching the numbers. It's causing a lot of anxiety for myself, my coworkers, and others in the industry I've spoken to. And it goes on to say, additionally, some products stylists use at Hutton's studio expire. I know one of our girls do eyelash extensions, and her product is only good for so long. She's restocked it twice, and then we've been shut down further, so it's expired. And it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars out the window, Hutton elaborated. At least we have the bridge grant there to help cover those losses. And CRB helps a little bit with personal expenses. Even with government support being utilized, the financial stress is evident. Hutton says, the biggest thing for me is I am still required to pay my daycare fees for 2 children. I haven't worked in 2.5 months, but to hold my spot, that still has to be paid. It's things like that these small business owners are suffering from too. It doesn't seem like that much, but $150 to $250 a week when you're not working, with a nervous laugh. Angie Mowbray, owner of Angie's Cutting Edge in Neepawa, expanded a little further. When you own your own business, you don't pay into unemployment or anything, so there's no money coming in. Mowbray added, the bills are coming back out, and I've got a mortgage, a land tax, and my utilities are sitting there. And for what? I'm glad to be able to go and get my teeth done and my massage, but I can't comb someone's hair. It makes me a little bit nuts. Mowbray noted that she thinks she has the same complaints as everybody else, especially hairdressers. This was indeed found to be true among those interviewed for this story, specifically when it comes to how restrictions are laid out for larger stores compared to those such as small barbers and hairstylist businesses. With the financial toll, it's hard seeing big box stores being able to run, say, an employee at Walmart be able to see 300 people in a day, but we can't see 8 clients one-on-one in such a small setting where we are able to social distance and take all the extra precautions of sanitizing and whatnot, Hutton confided. When this first set in, we stopped taking appointments between color clients so that we didn't have as much traffic flow coming in. We've asked people to wait in their cars until we have them in. We completely sanitize after someone leaves and wait 10 to 15 minutes for it to settle in. Everybody's wearing masks. We screen them, but in these big box stores, nobody's being screened before they go in. So I guess that's the biggest slap in the face to us, for lack of better words, as small business owners who can control how many people and who comes into our business, especially in a small town. With the January 8th extension also came an exemption for hockey. Hunter told the Banner and Press that she believes that this needs to be reevaluated, stating, I see no reason why hockey should be a go, but dads can't go to ultrasound appointments with their wives? This exemption also struck a chord with Hutton, who's been in contact with other stylists over the course of the Code Red status. Hutton said, I think for a lot of hairdressers, all the ones that I spoke to the other day when they announced that hockey can go on, that was kind of a big slap in the face too. It just seems like such a double standard. In addition to all these stressors and concerns, each of the hairstylists simply hope to see their clients again. Mowbray said, I miss my clients. There's a lot of friends, family, clients end up to be like family after 20 years of being a business and then not being able to see anybody. I was really hoping that we were going to be open on the 8th. As much as they all would like to open, all these 3 can do is wait and see what January 22nd brings. This article is by Kira Patterson of the Neepawa Banner and Press. It's titled Visitation Shelter Up and Running at Country Meadows Care Home. And there's a picture here. Country Meadows personal care home resident Alice Bone and Harold Flatt demonstrated good COVID-19 safety precautions in the care home's new co-visitation shelter, both wearing their masks and staying 6 feet apart. Personal care home residents and family members now have a way to visit one another amid pandemic restrictions. The co-visitation shelters that were being installed by the province at personal care homes across Manitoba are starting to open up for use now. At Country Meadows in Neepawa, the shelter has been open since last Monday, January 11th. Marcia Forg, acting supervisor at Country Meadows, noted that the shelter has seen good use already. Since our visitation shelter opened on the 11th, we have had 13 visits within. We believe that we will have more visits booked in the future once families further communicate with each other. So far, the reaction to the shelter at Country Meadows has been enthusiastic. Since our co-visitation shelter opened, we have had a lot of interest and questions about them, Forbes stated. Residents have expressed interest and excitement about the shelter. They are happy that general visitors can now visit, which is above and beyond the 2 essential visitors they were limited to before the pod was opened. The shelters allow for 1 visitor and 1 resident at a time. They must maintain social distancing and both wear a mask, and the visitors are screened for symptoms or possible COVID-19 exposure before the visit. In addition, the shelters, which were formerly shipping containers, have been fitted with ventilation systems to allow for air changes and filtration for extra safety. The surfaces have also been finished with ease of sanitation in mind. The province put in place external visitation pods so that visitors could come to see their family in all seasons without having to enter the personal care home and come into contact with other staff and residents. Some personal care homes don't have an external co-visitation shelter because they have space for a dedicated visitation space within their facility, with all the same safety precautions as the external shelters. Loved ones must make an appointment to visit a resident. And here is still a picture of Santa. Santa makes special delivery to Third Crossing Manor, submitted by Leslie Bowden. In December, despite COVID-19, Pins and Pals Quilt Guild, along with individuals and organizations in the Gladstone, Plumas, and Langruth areas, again filled Christmas bags for the residents of Third Crossing Manor in Gladstone. These bags were presented to the residents by Santa. We would like to thank everyone, including businesses who helped us make this possible again, especially during a lockdown when visitors are discouraged. Now, this is a lengthy article about the Beautiful Plains area organizations getting another boost. Local organizations facing, this is by Kira Patterson, by the way. Local organizations facing financial challenges due to COVID-19 have gotten another infusion of cash. The Federal Emergency Community Support Fund, or ECSF, have distributed its second round of grants through community foundations across Canada, including the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation serving Neepawa and its surrounding area. ECSF gave community foundations access to $30,000 each to distribute to their communities for round 2 of the grant. Round 1 saw $40,000 given to communities through their local foundations. Applications for round 2 opened up in October of 2020 and were available to nonprofit organizations supporting those affected by COVID-19. Recipients of the first round of ECSF were still eligible as long as they were applying for money for a different project than the first time. In the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation area, which covers Neepawa, the municipalities Rosedale, Glenella Lansdowne, and the Langford area of North Cypress Langford, 8 organizations received a round 2 ECSF grant. 2 of the latest ECSF grants went to a couple of organizations for some Christmas projects, the Neepawa Community Ministry Center and Home Assistance Neepawa and District HAND. They both received $6,286 and $2,000 respectively. NCMC used the money to help fill their Salvation Army Christmas hampers. The grant money was used to purchase gift cards and toys for the Christmas hampers. The hampers are normally funded by the Salvation Army Kettle campaign, which could not happen in person this year due to Code Red COVID-19 restrictions. Hand applied for the grant to help pay for Hugs for the Holidays, a project they did with the Neepawa Kin Club to provide seniors with a Christmas care package. Hand used some funds to purchase word puzzle books from our dollar store to be put in the gift packs and for the thank you ad for the banner, noted Hand coordinator Jeannie Barnaby. Remainder of funds was given to Neepawa Kin Club to purchase extra gifts. Community members donated enough gifts for 54 seniors, while the $2,000 grant helped cover another 86 gifts for a total of 140 seniors. Now, the Beautiful Plains School Division, BPSD, benefited from round 2 of ECSF to the tune of $5,400. Rhonda Dickinson, Student Services Coordinator for BPSD, explained that they were able to purchase some MiFi devices to help kids learn remotely who didn't have reliable internet access. MiFi is essentially a mobile Wi-Fi device that uses cellular networks and can connect multiple devices to the internet wirelessly. Students use the MiFi to connect their home or school devices to the internet while they're at home doing remote learning. We have purchased MiFis and monthly subscriptions for students to access internet. Families contact the school if they do not have internet connectivity, and school administration provides the device. Parents have provided really positive feedback about their child's ability to connect to remote learning. Dickinson thanked the BPCF for helping them purchase this technology with the ECSF grant. She also wanted to remind families struggling with internet connectivity to contact the school division to see if a MiFi device can be a solution for them. And 2 area art organizations are also getting some cash from ECSF. Arts Forward in Neepawa and Burroughs Trail Arts Council, based out of McCreary, are getting $3,142 and $1,172 respectively. Rain Pryor, Programming Director at Arts Forward, explained their grant will be used to help the organization purchase equipment with remote art classes. Pryor stated it's basically for an assembly of equipment to do videos of all different kinds. She noted that this will include cameras, lighting, sound equipment, and more. The grant will also cover costs of training on how to use the equipment so that the different art instructors will be able to learn how to video themselves for the classes. Pryor added that they were also able to purchase a hands-free sanitizer tower with this grant money, which they will be able to use once the facility is allowed to reopen to the public. Burroughs Trail Art Council applied for their grant to help pay for some COVID-19 sanitation and safety equipment. Jeanette Hepner, office manager for Burroughs Trail Art Council, noted that they haven't been able to make any purchases with the grant yet because their office has been closed due to Code Red restrictions. However, they have made plans for what they will purchase. Hepner explained that they have the grant earmarked to purchase a hand sanitizer stand, which they will be able to have set up at the entrance once the art center can open again. They will also have 2 large refillable sanitizer pumps to have at the entrances. In addition, Hepner noted that they plan to purchase a stock of travel-sized hand sanitizer bottles, which, once events can happen again, will be placed at individual seats for attendees to use at the event and take home, almost as a party favor. Other personal protective equipment, such as gloves and masks, will also be purchased using their $1,172. Hepner added that she was quite happy with the process of acquiring the grant. The application process was relatively easy compared to the other applications we usually deal with, she noted, adding that it didn't take long for the BPCF to go through the applications and approve the Art Council's request and distribute the money. And Touchwood Park Association, Inc., Incorporated, had another successful application for funding from ECSF. The organization received $5,000 from Round 2 grants, which have helped pay for a few things. COVID-19 expenses for the organization have included personal protective equipment for all staff as directed by Public Health, increased sanitation supplies, communication tools, and increased program delivery, noted Holly Pankratz, Touchwood Director of Day Services. The funds received in Round 2 went towards the purchase of 14 laptops to assist with contactless communication between 14 locations, maintaining contact between individuals supported by Touchwood Park and their families, as well as using virtual platforms for medical and other appointments. Pankratz shared Touchwood's appreciation for the grants they received. Touchwood Park is very grateful for the $5,000 received through the Emergency Community Support Fund Round 2 and the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation. Touchwood Park is committed to taking all necessary precautions to minimize the risk of potential spread of COVID-19. A fun way to get out of the house has also been funded by ECSF Round 2. The town of Neepawa took advantage of the grant opportunity, receiving $2,000 to put towards a new croquet-curl rink at the Flats. For those unfamiliar, croquet-curl is a hybrid between the board game crokinole and the ice sport curling. We decided that this is the year to see if we could make it happen, and several things aligned for us to make this a reality, noted Neepawa Economic Development Officer Marilyn Crew in a previous interview. One of the things that Crew said made it possible was the ECSF Round 2 grant. Construction of the rink is currently underway. It's something I think people will really be able to enjoy, a family-friendly activity that still adheres to the current social distancing practices. And Gladwin Scott's page includes a community profile on Luke Robson. Luke Robson, age 16, is a grade 11 honors student at Carberry Collegiate with strong athletic skills. He really enjoys golf and baseball, where he would play with the high school Cougars as a catcher or infielder. However, hockey is his forte. Luke is in his 4th year with the Southwest Cougars AAA program and has 1 more year of eligibility. He plays mainly center on a line with another Carberry student, Braden Knox. The Wew'suwet'en Wolverines have drafted him for the MGHL competition, and the Moose Jaw Warriors hold his Western Canada Hockey League playing rights. One of his goals would to follow into his father's footsteps, Ryan, who played 4 years with the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL. Robson has a heavy academic load this semester, including physics, biology, chemistry, English, and phys ed, which requires 80 hours of physical activity. Encouraged by his parents, Ryan and Lori, both teachers, to always work hard and do his best, Luke currently maintains an 87% average. 2 coaches that have had a profound influence on him are Jeff Dort of Deloraine in Bantam and Troy Leslie with the current under-18 AAA Cougars. Early this season, Luke had a 7-point weekend in Thompson and was selected as Player of the Week by the league. However, he was quick to point out that any success was due to his teammates. On a recreation note, he also enjoys fishing at Lake of the Prairies, which is near the home of his parents at Russell and Binscarth. Carberry Administrative Office to Relocate by Evan Devereaux. Carberry's administrative office will soon be on the move. The town has announced that its staff will relocate to 44 Main Street, formerly known as the Falk Pharmacy Building, by midsummer of 2021. The existing admin office, located at 316 4th Avenue, is currently used by both the town of Carberry and municipality of North Cyprus, Langford, formerly the rural municipality of North Cyprus. Due to the 2015 amalgamation of the RMs of North Cyprus and Langford, there was a notable increase of staff required that created a deficit in available space within the community. The renovation of the space on Main Street will get underway shortly and is expected to take about 6 months to complete. This project is being done on a zero-sum cost basis to the town of Carberry. In a media statement released on Tuesday, January 19th, town officials indicated that even though the office is only moving a few hundred feet over onto Main Street, council believes this infrastructure investment will help spur on further development in the downtown area. Carberry Mayor Stuart Olmsted echoed those sentiments to the Banner and Press, adding that everyone is excited to be shifting over to Main Street. Even though we're only moving a short distance, this move will establish a presence on Main Street. We've been just off Main Street for really over 20 years. This is really back to where we were, and at the same time being one of the anchors of the downtown. The tender process for the renovations is expected shortly, though Olmsted did note that the current space is still quite functional for their needs. He said, "You have to remember that while there will be some work done, this was still a retail space until 6 or 7 years ago. It's still functional, but still we want to do this right. We only want to do this once. It's a fairly large space when you get a good look at it. There was an addition put on, I believe, in the early to mid-90s, so it should be sufficient for what we will need." And this is Gladwin's Here and There article. Carberry Collegiate grades 7 to 12 students return to regular classes Monday, January 18th. Instead of writing final exams, classes will continue for an extra week. However, each subject will still have regular assessments, and the semester break will be Friday, January 29th. The semester will commence Monday, February 1st, stated Principal Bruce McCallum. In a discussion with Brian Franklin, president of the 13-team Tiger Hills Hockey League, he stated that in mid-December they had decided to cancel the 2021 season if Code Red had not been removed by mid-January. Melita had already decided that they were not interested in starting up again. It was not a difficult decision for the other dozen teams, as most of their players were workers or students and could ill afford to catch the pandemic virus. The 7-team Southeast Manitoba Hockey League unanimously voted January 11th to cancel the 2021 season. The SEMHL includes Altona, Winkler, Morden, Carman, Portage, Notre Dame, and Warren. The Winnipeg High School Hockey League has also voted to cancel this season. This year there were 12 teams slated to participate, although they had 36 schools involved last year. Last week, the Winnipeg Jets opened the 7-team Canadian division of the NHL's 54-game season, which includes 9 games each out of Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. 1 Canadian team will qualify for quarterfinal playoffs. For financial reasons, the Brandon Curling Club, the Westman Super League, and the Masters Super League have canceled their 2021 seasons. And lastly, the Canada-US border will remain closed to non-essential travel for another 30 days until February the 21st. Prairie Mountain Health monitoring current COVID-19 outbreak in McCreary by the Neepawa Banner staff. Prairie Mountain Health, PMH, is keeping a close eye on the ongoing situation related to COVID-19 at the McCreary-Alonzo Health Center. The health facility, which is located 62 kilometers north of Neepawa, has been dealing with an outbreak of the virus amongst both the residents and the staff. On Tuesday, January 19th, a representative with PMH confirmed to the Banner and Press the latest numbers from the facility. There were a total of 32 beds in the personal care home transitional care unit. As of the publication deadline on Wednesday, January 20th, there were 29 confirmed COVID-19 cases for residents and 16 additional cases among the health center staff. While those local staff who have been affected are quarantined, PMH has been bringing in staff from other healthcare sites to assist. There have been 6 deaths related to the McCreary-Alonzo Health Center outbreak, with 12 cases listed as recovered on the provincial government website. As of Wednesday, there were 25 reported active cases. Prairie Mountain Health is unable to provide information on whether or not any of the deceased had pre-existing health conditions. The communities of McCreary-Alonzo are a part of Prairie Mountain Health's Agassiz Mountain District. I think we're almost done. Oh, here is the Spruce Plains RCMP report by Corporal Jacob Stanton. During the week of January 11th to the 17th, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 36 police activities. On January 11th, RCMP responded to a report of a person walking along the highway in the RM of Oakview, not dressed appropriately for the weather. Police located the individual, who was found to have an outstanding warrant. The person was arrested and released with a future court date. Police received a report of an abandoned vehicle in Neepawa. After investigation, it was determined to have been stolen out of Winnipeg. The vehicle was towed and the owner was to be contacted by Winnipeg Police Service. January 12th, RCMP conducted various proactive traffic enforcements engaging with several motorists. On January 13th, RCMP conducted a COVID-19 compliance check at a residence in Minnedosa. All persons were found to be abiding by quarantine regulations. Police received a report of threats being uttered in Minnedosa, which was determined to be unfounded. January 14th, RCMP attended the scene of a two-vehicle collision in Neepawa. There were no injuries reported. Police responded to a complaint of a person not complying with the public health orders in Neepawa. Police attended and did not find anyone being non-compliant. Police received a report of fraud in the RM of Minto-O'Donnell, where there was insufficient evidence to proceed further. On January 15th, RCMP received a call of an intoxicated person who may have been injured at a residence in Minnedosa. Police attended and did not find anyone injured or in need of assistance. While on patrol, police located an uncontrolled and unsupervised fire in the RM of North Cypress Langford. The property owner eventually returned and was spoken to about the emergency services bylaws in place. January 16th, RCMP responded to a report of a suspicious person driving in a pasture in the RM of Minto-O'Donnell. The driver was located trying to seek shelter for the night, and the vehicle was found a short distance away, which was discovered to have been stolen. The matter is still under investigation. Police attended the scene of a two-vehicle collision in the RM of Rosedale. There was extensive vehicle damage, but no reported injuries. On January 17th, RCMP conducted curfew checks at residences in Minnedosa, where all persons checked were found to be breaching their court-ordered conditions. Charges are pending in these matters. Police were dispatched to a commercial alarm in Gladstone. While en route, the property owner determined it was a false alarm, and RCMP conducted 17 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. And the last article I have is just a picture, and it says, a quick break from the slopes. Last Saturday, skiers came out to Minnedosa for Ski Valley's opening weekend. COVID-19 precautions were in place, including no eating in at the chalet. So this crew decided to make the best of it with a little tailgating dinner break. Our temperatures were unusually warm, so that makes sense. Anyways, that is it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.